Elijah told Ahab this because he's fixing to change something. He told Ahab, now therefore send and gather all, say all of Israel to me on Mount Carmel. Say Mount Carmel because it's important.
Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel's meaning is a fruitful place. That is the meaning of Mount Carmel. Why is Elijah having the people of Israel taken to Mount Carmel? Because he's fixing to shake things up very muchly. The wind blew the page. And it said also he wanted, go ahead and send the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asher. He wanted even the enemy to be there. So I want you to notice and see that not only did he have the children of Israel, but he had the enemy sitting there too.
Amen.
And here's what he asked. Well, first, in verse 21, all the people came together. And Elijah came to all the people there on Mount Carmel, had them all together, and said, how long will you falter between two opinions? How long will you falter between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word. So what's that tell you about the people? They couldn't answer because they had no idea. They had no idea where they are, who their identity was. They could not answer. We have a choice. We have a choice to choose either opinion. We can choose to say God is the Lord, God of all, and serve him, or we can serve this world. And there's so many, and I'm going to step on some toes, but there are so many out here in this world that call themselves Christians, but they serve the world. There is no Jesus whatsoever in them. How can we make a difference and shake things up if that doesn't happen, if that's in our own lives? How can we? We have to change and reform ourselves so that they can see that. Elijah, he's fixing to show them the difference, and it changes. But I wanted you to really see where they had no words to say when he asked them that question. If you were asked that question, don't answer it. But if you were asked that question, would you be able to answer it? Really answer it, truthfully. I know some of y'all personally out there, I know what your answer would be. Some of you I don't know, but barely. But what would your answer be? Are you going to be like children of Israel and can't answer? If you drop down to verse 24, I'm sure I'm not forgetting anything that I need to say. Oh, I do. Like I said, he was a reformer. He was a troubler of Israel. He shook up things. Now, if you are a reformer and somebody that is, I've had trouble with this word, strategic. Yeah, strategic. Yeah. Anyway, y'all know what I'm saying. A strategist. But a strategic leader will not only get himself, see, this is what Elijah did. He didn't only get himself to the fruitful place of Mount Carmel. He didn't only get himself there, but what did he do? He brought all his disciples. That's what a leader would do. They bring their own disciples. He brought all of Israel and the enemy all together on there. And that's what a strategic, forget it. Yeah, a leader. He brought himself, but he also made sure that those that he wanted to shake up were there too. And those that will follow him afterwards and make a difference are there. In the fruitful place, Mount Carmel. We have to appoint it. He appointed it because he knew that was a fruitful place. That's why he picked it out. He picked the place and he picked the time. And we have to too. We have to seek God and he will show us. But we have to be willing to do it when he says do it. In the beginning, we already knew that it was time because God told him to get up and go and find Ahab. You following me? Okay. Second page. I need a bigger thing. Sorry. My pants are nearly too tight to bend down. That's another thing that has to change. This has got to come off.
Amen.
God's already told me that.
Amen.
All right. So when we got on top of the mountain, we see that not only did he have the children of Israel, but he also had the enemy. Correct? All right. The enemy and the other people were all in the fruitful place. But, catch this, but not all sees or understands what's going on right now. It takes a true reformer to activate the reform in the place to see a fruitfulness happen.
Amen.
Elijah was that reformer, true reformer, to activate this. And the leader, the reform leader, will bring fire down. And that's what we're about to see. He's fixing to bring fire down.
Amen.
We're going to jump to verse 37. I think, no, wait. Verse 24, excuse me. We just said a while ago that the people didn't answer a word a while ago, correct? There in verse 19. Or verse 21, excuse me. In verse 24, it says here, he had already told them to build an altar, told the Baal prophets and the Asher prophets to build an altar. And don't put a fire on it. But here in verse 24, it says, then you call on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God who answers by fire, he is God. But what I want you to catch is what is done next, what the people say next. All the people answered and said, it is well spoken, it is good. It's another version. Well spoken is what that said. Another version says it is good. Okay, a while ago they couldn't answer. They couldn't give him a word. And now they say it's good. But right now, it's in their minds. It hasn't made it to their hearts yet. It's just superficial. Because if it was really in their hearts right now, they would not. He hadn't done anything yet. So if it was really in their hearts now, they wouldn't be needing this to start with. So ask yourselves, how many of you, looking at your lives and the way it is today, how many of you say it's good, but really it's never gotten out of your mind and it's never made it to your heart? Talked not too long ago about he stands at the door and knocks. He wants to come in, but are we willing to let him in and let him take over? Let him come from the mind to the heart, because when he knocks on the door, it's the door of our heart. It's not the door of our mind. I know several people that know the word back and forth. They know they can quote that scripture, but they have no idea who Jesus really is. They got a lot of book smarts, but they've never experienced him personally. How many in here, and I don't want to step on no toes, but if it does, it does. How many in here say that you honor apostle, that you walk under apostle and you obey apostle, but your life doesn't show it? God put him here as a leader for us, and if you're here, then you're accepting him as a cover. Are you saying you believe, you're on board with what's going on, you're on board with the cell vision, you're on board with going on? But really, truthfully, you could care less? You're just saying it to be saying it? But see, the people of Israel saying the same thing because they don't really know what they're talking about right now. Do we really want to be that way? If we are that way, how can we make a difference in the world? If we cannot even honor the person that we say, and I'm not just talking about this church too. You could be in another church and you not do the pastor the same way. Because if you're choosing to be in that church, then you're choosing that pastor to be your cover. Are you doing, and I've done that before. I've been in several churches in my life. Until I come here and really understood and took apart and grasped. And I will say that when I went to Brazil, and several of you that went to Brazil can say the same thing, I never really understood till I saw it in action, in full force. And it may be that may be the reason that it hasn't gotten from your mind into your heart yet. Word of thought. Just think. Seek God on it. See? So after they built the altar, and they said it's good, so the Baal's prophets and Asher's prophets have built the altar, and they're sitting there and they're chanting, they're doing all this, but nothing's happening. Elijah, I love it. About noon, Elijah starts taunting them. He starts really shaking things up because he don't let them just do what they're wanting to do. He starts taunting them. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he's busy helping somebody else. Maybe he's asleep. And it made them go even further to where they started cutting their hands, cutting their arms, cutting their thing. Blood coming till the blood came, trying to get him to answer. And Elijah let it go on a little bit, and then it came time for the evening sacrifice, which is what normally takes place in Israel, that time frame. And he said, where is he? I guess he's not answering. I guess he's not around to be able to hear. And he told people, now, watch this. See what he's fixing to do. He says, okay, come around. I think it's in verse 37. Let's see. 30. Yeah, that's right. Elijah said to them, to all the people, repeat after me, come near to me.
Come near to me.
Elijah said to all the people, come near to me. So that all the people came near to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken. But when he went to repair the altar, I want y'all to catch something. I want you to catch what he says. It's in verse 31. It says, and Elijah took 12 stones. Say 12.
12.
According to the number of the tribes of the son of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, Israel shall be your name. Why did he take 12 stones? Why is it so important to understand the 12? It's the total of Israel. But you see all through the word, he uses 12. There's 12 gates in the temple. There's 12 gates in heaven. There's 12 disciples. There's 12 tribes. 12 is important. It means something to God. There is power in the 12. Amen. And in the cell vision, that is what we do. We build a 12 like Jesus. And when we do, then that 12 builds a 12. But when they're doing that, they're following the steps. They're winning the souls. They're consolidating. They're making the disciples, and then they can send. But each time it expands. Look how many more, if you really did the math, look how many more are entering into the kingdom of heaven. Ripped out of hell. But to really do that, it takes a true reformer that shakes things up. See, that's why we're being called an occult. It's because of the fact of things that we do things differently. And the truth is, this room is getting to where it's too small. And the different things that we do in here, it's getting to where we need a lot more room. We started out in a hotel room, and God's moving. But we're beginning to really understand what it means to be reformed and standing in this vision being reformed, and how it really does make a big difference in people's lives. Several of you out here are preparing to go into your Freedom Weekend, your encounter.
Amen.
You've started your walk of maturity today, this morning, to be exact. And you're going to start walking, and in that walk, that right there, you've already been consolidated. That is where the discipleship starts. And when you go to this weekend in August, started with A. Yeah, yours was in April. Mine was in March, several years ago. But it'll make a difference in your life. But it's just a door that God uses to open. But when He does, and you come out of it, and you have got that freedom, you should be a true reformer, because you should shake the things around you and the people around you, and they should be wanting so much to know why you are so different that they come running to you and wanting to know what's wrong, and then you get them. That's another way you get them started. But after that weekend, and see, I didn't even know that's what we really were back then. That's what it was. And when I went to mine, several of them in here know, I wiped out several chairs. I was dancing in the Spirit, and I didn't know what was going on around me, and I wiped out a whole section of chairs. I didn't fall, they all went. Yeah, and that first night, God did something miraculously that I probably drank, 5 or 6, 7 bottles of water, one right after another, without hardly a breath. Huh? It was because the Spirit was so hot. It was so awesome. But my point is, and that's something y'all can look forward to. Y'all laugh, it's fine. But it's awesome. He jumped and nearly hitting the ceiling, and he was in my encounter too, nearly hitting the ceiling. There's other things and other stories, other places. You see I'm big. This is 300 and something pounds. I'm not going the exact amount because I don't even know myself. But you can ask him, when I jump, I don't jump. I barely move. Yeah, that's about it. But when the Spirit hit me, I was jumping this far off the ground. But it's made a major difference in me. Yes, there's still things that I have to change. We're never going to be to where we don't have something to change until He takes us to be with Him. But we need to strive to shake things up. That 12 is a foundation.
Amen.
He had to build the proper foundation of this altar before the miracle, the thing that was going to shake everything up, happened. And that's why there was 12 stones. But that's not all He did. He had them do that. He prepared the altar, not once, not twice, but 3 times He had them pour water all over it. And then He built a trench around it too, and filled the trench up with water. So He was not only going to shake things up, but He was going to prove them over there. They're doing all kinds of things all day long, and no fire came out of heaven on their altar. He's going to show them that God is God and more powerful than anything they can imagine, because not only is He going to burn the altar, it's going to be sopping wet. How many of you can burn something that's wet? You can't hardly do it. He made this to where it shouldn't be able to burn at all. He covered it with water. But see, when He did it, He's a reformer, so He's going to do things differently. But it's going to make a difference. And when He was taunting them, He was stirring up trouble and agitating. The word agitate, He was agitating them people. But He had to make sure the enemy was there too to do this stuff so that the people can be delivered. And making sure you understand that. Y'all understanding me and following me so far? So in verse 37, we're skipping around in here, but in verse 37,